Zapraszam do Muzeum Lotnictwa w miejscowości ILLAWARRA, Nowa Południowa Walia. Z wszystkich moich podróży niestety nigdy nie udało mi się polecieć jumbo, a szkoda, bo jest to drugi co do wielkości samolot pasażerski. Udało mi się tym razem zwiedzić go w muzeum, a Wy możecie go zobaczyć razem ze mną. Zapraszam dalej.
Excuse me, Reg, or Colleen. Hi, Colleen. Could you just mark on the sheet there, the top of seat 24J is missing.
Okay.
The top cover strip on seat 24J is missing, and we have vacuumed it, so you can tick against that.
Vacuum.
Oh, thank you.
Tick that.
Okay,
Okay.
that's the only damage I could find so far. Thank you. Okay. You happy so far?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay, let's go laps.
Yeah. If you like, oh, you get photo by all means.
Yeah, I will.
Here we've got the F111,
Mhm.
and this one is actually owned by the Royal Australian Air Force,
Mhm.
so we don't own this one.
Okay.
And the Americans insist on that. That way it will never fly again. So
Okay,
it's
is
part
it-
of the Air Force.
Is it French one or because
It was F111C was brought down and reassembled here. It wasn't flown in here,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's part of the Royal Australian Air Force. So
Mhm.
that was part of the agreement. All the rest got buried about 90 feet under the ground.
Okay.
About 30 of them.
Mhm.
The Americans are very strict on what
Mhm.
can and can't be flown. We've got two vampires here from Britain. You'd recognise them.
I've never seen them before.
You haven't?
No.
Oh, well, these are British,
Mhm.
and they were amongst the first of the, I've lost the name of the
Oh, okay.
first of the British jet fighters.
Mhm.
But these were post-war World War II, and with the Australian Air Force, and with Britain and a few other air forces. Hawker de Havilland made these. Timber frame up the top.
Mhm. So this is a jet.
Yep.
Okay.
This is timber here, because Britain couldn't afford after the war to have all aluminium. America had a monopoly on the aluminium, basically. So that's all timber. The wings are aluminium.
Okay.
That's the jet engine there. This one does go, and on weekends they start it up and taxi it around the place. Got to be careful, the jet is so low to the ground,
Mhm.
it will heat the bitumen and melt the bitumen,
Mhm.
or it will burn the grass if you got it over the
Oh my
grass.
God.
So you got to be careful what you're doing. So it usually just taxis around a bit. This one here, they're building to flying condition, and they hope to have it flying by the end of this year. It's a privately owned one by the man who runs the workshop, and that's, believe it or not, is Harvard or Texan, whichever you want to call it, but it was painted in those colours for a purchaser in South Africa, but he withdrew his contract, so they're ending up getting it to flying, and I don't know if they're going to sell
They
it.
were usually black or yeah.
We're usually grey.
Oh,
greys.
grey, yeah.
Okay.
I thought they were black. That's just a similar color.
Okay. And here we've got, this one flies. This is the Convair 440. This one was flown from South Africa.
Okay.
And it was, we flew it from South Africa about 3 months ago. And then it flew down to Melbourne and it's been back. It's a beautiful aircraft inside, I'll show you that.
Oh,
but
that's
so
cool.
they can shut the door, we'll go and have a quick look. Now, the Americans had these from about 1949. This particular version we had from about 1962 to 1977. This is the Neptune. It was mainly a submarine chaser. Got jet engines as well as reciprocating engines. Out on the wing there, you've got a 3 million candle power searchlight to try and find the submarine. You've got big sonar dome in the front, radar, and at the back a smaller one. The smaller one was to send out countermeasures so the submarines didn't shoot them down and say, no, I'm not here, I'm somewhere else. And the big one was to find the submarines.
Oh, okay.
And they used to jettison sonar buoys out, and they'd go into the water and they send out radio transmissions, and they triangulate where the submarine was and feed that information back. And underneath, of course, you had the bomb bay where the torpedoes and depth charges were.
Yeah, that's why. Actually, I wanted to ask you, what is that? It's probably for the bomb.
Yeah. Now, you're welcome to go through this. You can have a look. You can go in the cockpit. You just, as I say, to get to the front, you've got to crawl over the wing route. But you've got about that much.
Okay.
If I can do it, you can do it. But if you're not up to it, just come
I'll
back.
try.
Okay.
So
Well,
by this way, yeah? By this stairs.
But let me know, because I was going to help them by putting up the ladder and close it up after you, if that's okay.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
okay. And you can read what each person did. You know,
So there's some information inside,
there's
yeah?
information just as you go up the steps. See there?
Okay, yeah.
And opposite each person, position, you'll see information like that on what they did.
Great.
And you just go up the steps, and then you can see there where the wing is. So you just got to crawl over that and go to the front.
Okay.
So you'll be okay?
Yeah, I'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're going there and then come out the front, and I'll put the ladder up and save the other people where I'm
Okay,
about it.
sure.
If that's okay, just take your time. I'm not in any hurry, so
Sure.
I don't want to rush you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's obviously where they used to have their meals. These used to fly for about 16 hours, looking for the submarines at a time. So they'd cook their meals on the long flights.
Oh, really?
No
Cool.
pressurisation, no heating. If they went up high, they'd have to have the oxygen mask on. But it could be long, noisy and cold.
Yeah. I can understand that it's quite cold up there. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So usually getting over the wing, I often go over on the bottom.
Uh-huh.
This way, so you don't.
So can I go up there?
Yeah, up and over the wing, all the way to the front.
Okay.
If you want to. If you don't want to, I'll leave the ladder here and you can come back.
Okay. I'm going to try.
Just imagine if you're bumping all over the sky and you've got to move from one end to the other.
Yeah. Okay.
Just take the one end.
Sure. No dobra, moi drodzy, to już prawdziwe szaleństwo. Za 2 dychy się opłacało. Wow. Ciepełko niezłe w kabinie. Samolot czadowy.
Hey, you going up there, okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
You can go in the cockpit if you like and
Yeah.
take photos there.
Yeah, I want to take photos in here.
How you going? Yeah, it's pretty congested trying to get up there. But normally to get down I just sit here, put my hand up there and come down the steps.
Sure.
You can go that way if you want to.
Yeah, I can. Okay.
But when you get there, you'll have to turn around and come back this way. Don't try coming backwards,
Sure.
or you'll
Okay.
probably get
Yeah.
caught. You want me to hold anything for you?
Yeah, just this.
Just that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
All
Oh,
right.
maybe I'll give you this stuff. Just
Put that there. Yeah. No worries.
whoops.
Oops.
Okay, that's fine. All right.
Good luck.
Really tired. Okay. O Jezu, już się upociłem jak nie wiem co, ale jest super. No to jest stanowisko strzelnicze tego Lockheeda Neptuna. Jest naprawdę fajnie. Także jestem tu w środku i zobaczcie, już jestem cały mokry. Okej, to teraz będę wychodził stąd. Zobaczcie, co tu się dzieje. Wszystkim się... It's quite warm inside. Yeah, I'm sweating. I'm wet already. Okay.
I'll hold that for you if you like.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got it. That's cool. As I say, sit down there, use your hand hold,
Uh-huh.
calm down.
Okay.
Yes, this isn't even summer. You can imagine what
Yeah.
the heat's
Yeah. I've been wondering how the people can go inside this aircraft
like.
in the summer.
They sweat.
Yeah.
Okay. There's your camera. There's your cover. Your wallet's there.
Sure.
I'll just put the seat up there.
Oh, yeah.
Up.
Sure.
Okay. So that's the 70 million counterpower searchlight I told you to find the submarines.
Yes. Sure.
That conical build instrument, that's called a sniffer. That's used to sniff out diesel fumes. When the submarines come to the surface, of course they can't do that to recharge their batteries,
Yeah.
so they're operating off a diesel motor. So that used to sniff out any diesel fumes that were
really?
floating over the ocean. They're the same size engines, they're 3350s that are used in the Super Constellation, one of the biggest piston engine, 18 cylinder, and each cylinder's got over a litre capacity, or well over a litre capacity. They're massive engines really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we've still got two of these out flying.
Oh.
That we're still currently flying. That's, you've heard of the Vespa motorcycles?
Sure. Yeah.
Made by the same mob. That's a Piaggio, an Italian aircraft. Used on commuter runs, short commuter runs and little transport jobs, and cargo. They're pushers rather than pullers, the engines, so the propellers are on the back. Very noisy they were, as I remember as a kid.
Small and noisy.
Small and noisy.
Yeah.
So this is Albion Park Aerodrome. At this date we used to have commercial aircraft come flying in, but now we don't. But the council has just erected a new terminal building, demountable over there, and they've just redone the runway. So there is rumour that the commercial operators are going to come back in here, flying from here to Melbourne. But I still haven't seen anything in writing. This is perhaps the most luxurious aircraft you'll ever see inside.
Okay.
Go and have a look. Well, I think so anyway. So they've just flown this one back from South Africa. And it was an uneventful trip, flew all the way.
Yeah, that looks really luxurious.
Here's the bar and everything for the hostesses.
Yeah.
The servery here. And here's, what do you think of these seats? They're nice.
Yeah, very nice.
So I don't know if they had these in Britain, but certainly they're Convair made by Lockheed in America, and we had them in New South Wales, Queensland, West Australia, flying from about 1951 to about 1965. And this one was in South Africa as a tourist aircraft, where they take first class tourists around South Africa.
Oh, okay.
And that's how, then that the bloke focused more on, he had his own private railway, and the carriages were just like this. If you Google it, Rovers Air and Train, carriages look exactly the same. And he focused on that rather than flying passengers around, and so we were able to obtain this aircraft.
Okay.
It's quite nice, isn't it? And if you can't see.
Is it wood?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in here's the toilet, but it's got mirrors and everything, even wooden toilet seats.
It's quite big.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I just
Not like a normal
no,
plane.
not like a normal
Yeah.
toilet torch.
Yeah.
That's the mirror there.
Okay.
I mean, that's luxury in size, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it's really nice.
Okay. So yeah, so
Yeah, I'll take a photo of the cockpit.
that's how you want to, you can get a photo. You just can't virtually go in
Okay.
beyond the chair because it's a flying aircraft. So. This one of the engines, it flew down to Melbourne, and one of the engines was playing up, and when it got back they examined the engine and figured it needed a major overhaul, so they ended up buying a new engine from America,
Oh,
which
really?
is what this.
So that's the new one, yeah?
That's the brand new one to
Oh,
go back in. So this is the one that flies. Yeah, so this one still flies, and this over
So
here.
it's owned by someone, yeah?
This is everything here except the F-111
Yeah.
is owned by Haas. In some cases, members have donated the aircraft to Haas.
Okay.
Tax dodge, but it becomes Haas aircraft. This Cessna 310. It was one of the early twin-engine Cessnas to be produced back in the 50s. This one was used in, wouldn't happen in England, but cloud seeding operations in Australia, where they use silver iodine crystals and put them in the cloud, and that would make the water condense and result in rain. But you had to have the right cloud with the right amount of moisture vapour for it to work.
Yeah.
Well, of course, Australia was so drought prone, that's what they resorted to. This one's still used for asymmetric training of the pilots. Even the A380 captains have to do so many hours every couple of years of asymmetric training where they cut one engine, they've got to fly.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
You know that? Sorry. De Havilland 82, Tiger Moth, that one still flies.
Really?
Yes, and that's one of their favourites to play around with. Don't fly because it's really flying. This is the wind yield, designed by Air Commodore Wackett. He designed the wind yield, the Wheelway, and the Mustang in Australia, and he was instrumental in Commonwealth Aircraft Corporation building aircraft for the war effort in World War II. Old Oster over there, that one still flies also. Oh, this one flies. That one flies also. And back in the 60s I used to fly one of those, not that particular one. But of course you've got to hand swing the propeller to start it. Dicey aircraft. You have to know what you were doing, trying to land them too. And of course they've got bungee cord, they've got struts with bungee cords in them too when they land. It's bungee cords that stop you rather than shock absorbers. So as you can see, pretty well most of the aircraft you've seen today are all flying aircraft. This one's not. This was Grumman Tracker used on HMAS Melbourne, which was our aircraft carrier back in the 60s. It's not being restored to flying condition because of the cost and the motors aren't satisfactory, and there was a fair bit of being aircraft carrier based, a fair bit of corrosion, so it's just not worth. But this one is a very historic aircraft, originally wartime aircraft, World War II. Did actually have bullet holes in it from the war. Was the first DC-3 that our local Trans-Australian airline ever had. That was in 1943.
So Trans-Australia is the first airline used in...
One of the first, yes.
Yeah, one of the first, yeah.
It's about the only one that kept going.
Is it still? I don't think it still exists.
No, Qantas took it over.
Well, yeah.
So...
Oh, it's probably maintained by this from Qantas Airways.
So this one still flies. It actually flew up from Melbourne a few months ago, and it's beautiful inside.
Yeah.
Still original condition.
Inside and outside, really nice.
Again, we can't go in the cockpit because it's a flyer,
Yeah.
but you can see the seating, little electric fans, keep you cool.
Yeah.
This is where the hostess sat.
Yeah, it looks pretty funny. Old air conditioning.
They had the urn and the coffee and the urn full of cups of tea, and you probably had biscuits, and that was about it. But you did have air vents here when you were flying. But when you were on the ground, you had nothing. You just sweated. And of course, it being a tail dragger, the tail's down till you get almost airborne, and you take off, the tail comes up, and then you climb up like that. So 28-seater, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 28-seater, plus the air hostess.
Okay. Yeah. Can I come closer there?
Yeah, you can go and get a photo.
Okay. It's a pretty funny thing that the floor is not flat, it's going down.
No, because it's a tail dragger.
Yeah.
These are comfortable for takeoff and landing because the seats are like this. But when you're in the C-47s, which is the military version, we've got 2 of those that are flying, the seats are on the side, and they're just the parachute type seats. So when you sit in it, you like this, everyone's on the side, and of course when it's accelerating, everyone from the top is down, is pushing you. So you're pushing them back till the tail comes up. They're not comfortable at all.
Yeah.
But these are lovely.
Yeah.
Try and just mind your head.
Yeah.
It's hard to see with that sunlight. Your head here. You're welcome if you would like to go up and get a photo of the F-111 if you want to. just I usually go up forwards and I come backwards down the steps just like a ladder. I find it easy.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Sure. I will. Oh.
You want me to hold anything?
I'll give you this.
That one?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be fine.
They're a pretty impressive aircraft, of course, twice the speed of sound, and even at low altitude they had terrain hugging radar, so the pilots couldn't fly them, but the computer could fly it. And you can see from there the type of armament they had under the wings. It was quite astronomical that they could ever fly. Of course, if they had the long-range tanks on, the wings would be out vertical to the mainframe for takeoff, and then if they needed to go supersonic or stuff like that, they'd have to drop the extra fuel tanks so that the wings could.
So this is the fuel tank.
That's an extra fuel tank.
Oh, okay.
They had incredible range. They could fly from Australia to Indonesia with a full bomb load and back, no worries. They didn't have mid-air refueling, but as I say, they had about 3,500 miles range.
Actually, it looks like a bomb.
Yeah. Okay. So this is hangar 1.
Okay.
We'll have a look at all the engines on the way back if you like. Just have a get
Sure.
to the other end.
Yeah.
This is the same motor that's in the Neptunes that you saw, and also the super constellations.
Oh, okay. So, civil plane, yeah? This one is a...
Our super constellations are going at the moment. It's undergoing a repaint job after 26 years.
Yeah.
So it should be back in a few weeks. Yeah, that was our first major aircraft apart from the Neptunes that they had. And of course the Super Connie flies all around Australia on trips. Here's Ex-Police Commander. That's the famous Rolls-Royce Merlin engines from the Spitfires and the Mosquitoes and the North American Mustangs, the Avro Lancaster, of course.
So it looks like a V12 engine, yeah?
Yeah. This is the American interpretation. This is the Ellison.
Okay.
Virtually the same. This one had more power at low level, but didn't have the same power up around 40,000 feet that the Rolls-Royce did. This one was mass produced, whereas the Rolls-Royce was Merlin was virtually all hand produced. You know. Cobra, the Hawk, Curtis Hawk, Lockheed P-38 Lightning. So you can see the engines were compatible virtually. Mosquito, Lightning. Very similar performance aircraft. This is the Rolls-Royce Neon. This was the one that caused all the controversy because Rolls-Royce sold the blueprints, if you like, to Russia after the war because Russia and Britain were allies. And it was supposed to only be used for commercial use. Of course, they produced them into the MiG-15, which shot the British and the Australian and the Yanks out of the sky in North Korea. A bad mistake by Britain.
Yeah.
The Goblin is the engine you saw on the de Havilland Vampire, the two vampires. So this is in the twin-seater Vampire.
So this is a jet engine, yeah?
This is the de Havilland, Hawker de Havilland Goblin engine.
Yeah.
British. All these aircraft here are virtually British, except for the Ellison, which is a copy of the British anyway. Rolls-Royce Avon here, used in the Sabre jet, and also the Campbell bomber, which is a very famous British bomber, and the Carvel, the Vickers Valiant, the de Havilland Comet, Hawker Hunter fighter, which we've got one here.
So the Saab bought engine from British. Yeah. I thought they were build their own engines.
For other,
I'm pretty good fan of Saab. I mean the cars.
fair enough. This is the axial flow jet engine on the Neptune bomber that you crawled through. Okay, so that's the jet engine there. And the jet engine's used for takeoff, and also when they're flying very low to the water, they usually have the engine ticking over in case they need to put the power to get out in case the big engines started fouling. So that's basically the Neptune you've been through. Now when you're in the 747 or the modern jet airliners, you hear there's a jet engine going pretty well all the time you're on the ground before they start the main engines. That's the Honeywell APU, which supplies the power or the electricity for the aircraft, apart from the jet main engines, and also supplies the compressed air to start the main engines if you need to. This is probably way before your time. Armstrong Sigley double Mambo. This was used to power the ferry Gannet, which was another aircraft carrier submarine chaser, but based on the aircraft carrier. And they had two of these in line, and then they were geared so that one propeller was turning this way and the other propeller was counter-turning. So that's the double... I'm only aware that they were in the ferry Gannet. But it's a Bell Huey Cobra gunship, basically designed for Vietnam. And this was one of the early gunships. And it's amazing.
It looks really modern.
Well, again, Robert Grant bought these from America and donated them to Haas, but he, to get them out of America, even in boxes, the Americans insisted on cutting the drive shaft on the engines, so that, and also so that they can never be flown, because the Americans are very worried about anything like this coming back and being used by bad people. So this is the engine for the Bell helicopter. It's not a very big engine when you think of it.
Yeah.
But the huge paddles up there, aren't they? You've heard of the Vickers Viscount?
Sorry?
The Vickers Viscount, before your time? Or the Fokker Friendship?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Well, that's the engine from them, turboprop engine.
Oh, okay.
They scream like mad. Very, very noisy. So that's the Rolls-Royce start. So this the famous DC-4s, which followed the DC-3. Douglas MacArthur used the DC-4 as his main base of operation in World War II in the Pacific War. This was a basically in its later life was used as a cargo transport to the islands. We found it basting away in Archerfield in Queensland. We negotiated with the owner, worked on it for about 2 years, then flew it down here, and now it's still flying. We're repainting it, and we're putting new furniture in it, and we're rewiring all the wiring because the wiring was a bit hopeless. To put it mildly. So this one flew down. They flew this one down. Hasn't flown since, but the aim is to get it back in the air again. Why this one's here, I'm not sure because I don't think we own it. It's a Beechcraft. Beechcraft 18D, that one.
So this one will be painted as well.
Yeah. This is a this aircraft. The Border Patrol people have just been in to inspect it today. It was used to bring drugs into Australia. The Border Patrol seized it. They asked us to look after it, so we've been charging the government for hangage for it to keep it safe. So they've been down today, and I don't know what's happening to it. We've had it for about 3 years waiting for all the court cases to go through. The Commonwealth government may very well take it back. They may leave it to us, I don't know, rather than pay rent, pay hangage, I don't know.
Yeah.
Now this is the very modern, used in our current Air Force, the Orion, or P3C, PC3. P3's just called, basically a Lockheed Electra, but with all the sophisticated radar and electronics in it. Again, American made, and we've got to wait to full permission for us to have it from America. The Australian government's given it to us, but if the Yanks say no, the Australian government's got to fly it back to the boneyard in America. So, it's red tape. But yeah, up to about 2 months ago, this was flying with the Royal Australian Air Force. Is the submarine Hunter that replaced the Neptune.
No cóż, tam nie mogłem wam zbyt wiele powiedzieć, ale trafiłem na coś, co było całkowitym przypadkiem, czyli na takie miejsce. Więc zwiedziłem sobie Muzeum starych i nowych samolotów. Tutaj na przykład Jumbo, którym nigdy nie byłem. Nigdy nie leciałem też Jumbo. I wreszcie udało mi się go zobaczyć w środku, jak wygląda. Jeszcze sobie podejdę kawałeczek bliżej, chociaż do płotu, żeby wam pokazać. Ale było niesamowicie. Było naprawdę super. No, udało mi się po całym samolocie pobiegać. Tak, to właśnie to.